Hi, and welcome to the third episode of my journey over to Canada. In this episode, I'm going to talk about all the visa and documentation that you'll need to provide, and this hopefully will translate well to any country. Definitely some things that will be universal. So the first thing I had to do is I had to go sign into the Canadian government website for visa applications. In this instance, it's the Immigration, Refugee and Citizenship Canada website. I'll have the name of this URL on the screen and in the description below. But yeah, otherwise just Google it and that should also work. So you just go create an account and you just go through the prompts. I've already done this, so we'll just skip through. You'll end up landing on a page like this once you've put in all your information. Although it might look a little bit different, you'll have some information down here describing about what visa you're going to apply for. So whether it be a work visa, a student visa, or another type of visa that maybe your country has available. So you just got to go through and you submit that process. And it just asks some simple stuff like just your passport information, a bit of information about yourself. Anyway, so you just do that and hopefully you'll receive a letter like this eventually, and basically just telling you that you have been approved to apply, and you've got to go through some other documentations. So this is where it gets to the fun part, where you have to really start submitting a lot of documentation. You've got 30 days to do it. Anyway, so you'll hopefully get something that looks like this now at that point, and you've got to submit a whole slew of documentation. So I'll have that come up on screen, everything that you need to submit in the rough amount of time some of these documentation may take, because I just can't remember what they all were off the top of my head. You probably got about 5 to 6 steps that you need to go through. All right, so here's a cost breakdown of all my costs to get the visa over in Canada. As you see, it adds up to over $1,000. I think for most countries, it's going to be a similar. Other things you need is a digital photo of yourself at very specific dimensions. This one's 616 by 637 pixels. So yeah, you need to ideally have Photoshop and access to a good camera. A phone camera should be fine. Nice even lighting. Other important documentation that you definitely need is your police certificate or your police background check. This can take days, weeks, potentially, depending on your country. Another important one that does take quite a bit of time is your driver's license traffic record. And so I did one for multiple states that I lived in. They required that. And it's taken a while for my Victoria's driver's license one still hasn't arrived because of a mix-up in my residential address. I had to provide family information and as well as information of every single place that you've traveled to over the past, since you turned 18 or over the past 5 years. Whichever pertains to you earlier. But yeah, that's a lot of information that you have to provide them. And some of these things can take a long, long time. So another important one you have to provide them is your national identity document. Your national identity document usually is your driver's license in most countries. But that also required me to submit my issue date on my driver's license. So I don't actually have an issue date on my driver's license. I just have an expiry date. So that means I had to ring up my Victorian Roads and had to get them to send me a letter for my issue date of my driver's license, which took another 10 days. And you've only got 30 days to submit everything. So that actually was a little bit worrying. Obviously, I did all this stuff over the first few days after I got my approval to apply. So it was never a grave concern. But what has taken a long time is I had to go get my biometrics. After I had to do that, I had to go get my Victorian driver's history, which is only just arriving today or tomorrow. I've only got 4 more days. So these things can run really, really close if you don't have all your documentation in order. And there's a lot of things they ask you for, especially after you get approval. You only got 30 days. Oh, one last thing that's very, very important is your biometrics test is only available in certain places. So your biometrics is needed for almost every visa, I think. And these can only be acquired in capital cities or major cities. And so in Australia, that was only Melbourne and Sydney. So lucky for me, I only lived about 25 minutes away from the Canadian biometrics facility. But there's a lot of people who maybe lived on the other side of Australia, which would need a plane flight to go get this process done. It can only be done in person. So you may need to catch a plane to your nearest city to provide your biometrics, and you've only got 30 days to do this, remember, unless you justify otherwise. So biometrics will definitely catch some people out. National police check will catch some people out, and maybe something to do with your national identity document may catch you out as well. So get all those things first, because you don't want to be running out of time and jeopardizing the entire process of your visa to Canada or whatever country you're looking to apply for. All right, so that just about wraps it up for this episode. Next episode, I'm going to talk about the other logistics, such as flights and accommodation, before you head over to Canada, and maybe some of the things you need to do in your home country just to prepare yourself. But for now, that's it, and I hope that's some useful information, and I'll see you in the next one.